them out. They haven't looked at those costs, those savings that they're going to get if you palletize.
Do you think there should be, or of course I'm sure government doesn't roll out anything without penalty if you don't behave?
That's the point. We haven't quite seen it. The penalty is being pushed to the shipping lines, which I think is very wrong. Why would a shipping line bear the cost of you are not palletizing the items you have in a container? Take, for instance, a practical case. A typical liner has the capacity to carry about 4,500 containers. Based on a simple model, assuming that the 4,500 containers were actually booked for by 4,500 guys, importers. Now, how are you going to really now get the shipping line to move across these guys to ensure that all of them are going to palletize those things? I think the penalty must be on the importer in terms of making sure that those things are palletized. You pay a fee for that. But for exporting activities, it is the responsibility of the guy in the destination point to specify how he wants the item to get across to him. And therefore, the guy at the origin, in which case Nigeria now, will make all the effort to get those things done and bill him appropriately.
So it's a two-way traffic?
Yeah.
So if I'm doing exports, then I bill the guy who wants to, who wants me to export yam.
That's right.
Whatever. And then you specified the way I want it, and vice versa. Is that the international best practice?
It is. Take, for instance, the issue of yam. Everyone knows that in Nigeria, you don't package yam in containers. I mean, in cartons or corrugated papers. You don't. Yams are sold in heaps. Most of the guys getting involved in export now know that for you to get the yams across to Europe or UK, you must pack them in cartons, properly labeled. And the cost of carrying out that packaging and everything must be borne by the importer over there. So you work out all these things ahead of time and include it in your total cost. And that's really respecting the rules and regulations of the guys in the other client. And that's the point we're making. That it also goes to us. If you're coming into Nigeria with your imports, you have to specify exactly how you want this thing done. Otherwise, it creates a lot of problems.
Now, so if I'm doing imports and I've got to specify that I want this palletized, that means I'm paying a cost to someone overseas.
That's right.
So that raises the argument, therefore, that costs may go up.
Yeah. It may go up, but look at the benefits you're going to get when you get these things palletized and then it comes into the country. Discharging it, offloading it, a lot easier. The customs will take less time to inspect it. And therefore, you are not going to have high dwell time of your container at the port, at least to some extent. So you need to look at the entire savings and costs along the chain to appreciate this argument that, yes, try and get these things palletized.
Do you think we still need more of enlightenment, or perhaps winning some more disciples from the Kemi Adeosun's Ministry of Finance as far as this is concerned? It
should be a continuous thing. It never stops. The thing of enlightening people, getting them to understand the goal of the whole thing must not stop. And that's one of the points they raise here. Getting the things through faster, quicker, and cheaper. So when they say cheaper, everybody's focus is on the cost of getting that thing into the country. But please pay particular attention to the fact that once it gets into the country and is properly palletized, then it also reduces the cost of actually getting them offloaded at the warehouse, getting them offloaded at the different points where you're going to really break the bulk and sell them. So it's a lot. Let's look at the entire chain. You will notice clearly that there are a lot of benefits than the cost.
One of our viewers on Twitter, Ikpem says the proper packaging could actually contribute to decongesting our ports, that's Nigerian ports. If you look at the volume of the facility that Lagos was built many decades ago, vis-a-vis what it currently handles, it's like an overpopulated prison.
Correct. That's where the point comes in. We cannot continue as a nation to carry out 100% inspection of imports. You can't, because If you
what do we have scanners for?
That's right. If you do, when your volume increases to 2-3 million containers coming into the country, how are you going to inspect them? That is not the right thinking now. The right thinking is to get the scanners in, arrange this in such a way that once the containers come in right from the vessel, they are scanned. And once they are scanned, they are palletized properly and they are scanned, then you have the information as to what is in the container before the importer begins to make efforts to go and get the money to clear his goods. You already know what he's carrying, and you can go after him if he has guns in there. So you don't have to wait. That's right. So you don't have to wait until you open it up and begin to look into it and so on before you know. You have those things scanned there and empower the private sector who can actually carry out these activities to really get involved in this.
The private, the
terminal operators have the capability because
yes,
they offload.
Yes, they get warehouses.
That's right, because they don't have the warehouse per se. They offload those things.
Yes.
So if those things, that's one model. There could be other models. If those things are actually pre-scanned, they know exactly what it is. They hand over the information.
Why did the PIA come in here if we have all the scanners on ground? Or would they have with the MPA?
Well, point is the scanners are not really working. A good number of them are not working for quite a while. And that means you have to inspect physically. But if you get the scanners working, it will help. Now, how can you scan that container we saw that had all the junks of Europe in there? If it's palletized and well packaged in cartons, you can actually scan them easily, and then you will note the homogeneity of the items or the different phases of the items based on the image from the X-ray. And then, of course, you could go on and analyze further. And if you need to now set that aside for physical examination, then you must do that. But the way it is now, what can you scan?
Like a junkyard.
Exactly. So we need to really get things going and going pretty fast.
Thank you. I think we need to get going on this conversation. Thank you very much. It's been an enlightening, almost 30 minutes of your discourse with us on this very important issue. Thank you very much for bringing your academic and on-the-ground perspectives into it. Dr. Frank Ojadi, faculty member of the Lagos Business School and a man who's done a number of research work in Nigeria's foreign trade. The market is, I'm interested in the market. The rally is there. Stock market is still on steroid. And let's see what the third trading day is beginning to look like after the break.